the element of fire, the myth and the mystery of the energy that fuels the magma, the heart fire of the planet, the fire that is the heart seed of the human heart, the power of passion, the energy that can fund rage and yet bring absolute delight, depending on how the energy is contemplated. Many people view fire as destructive, and yet it is, beloved masters. Fire, yes, burns, reduces physical matter to ashes, but it is that it also purifies and cleanses and redirects energy. It is power. How do you view power? Is your expression of power fiery energy? In these times, we are finding that the element of fire, undisciplined, is running rampant throughout the physical, mental, and emotional world. Wildfires consuming acres of forest and vegetation, homes and businesses, and people see it as a destroyer. The passion of misdirected energy, of anger that becomes rage, which burns brighter, which becomes hatred, which can burn deep and smolder for a long time. The fires of a grudge, or the fires of the hearth. Home is where the heart is. The sacred place within each and every being. And we speak of the violet flame that sits on the altar in the sacred space, a cool fire. Not a consuming fire, but a transmuting fire that transforms energy without destroying it. The white fire, the sacred fire of God. Another cool fire of purity, of regeneration, of cleansing. The element of fire in the nature of a human being can be temperament. One who is called hot-tempered, and the emotions are easily triggered by sometimes the smallest word that is misunderstood or misconstrued can be like a match to tinder. And the undisciplined, undirected, misunderstood nature of fire can become a wildfire of emotion, which in many ways, beloved masters, is exactly what is happening on the planet now. The immense rage that people are experiencing is actually igniting fires. Oh, logic, if nothing else, will say it was lightning. But a heated argument, a vengeful nature, someone who goes out away from other people, out into the country to be with themselves, to sort things out. But as the finite mind, the ego mind, is turning things over, and the fires that the entity perhaps sought to avoid, I will get away from the affairs of my life, and if I get away from the things that make me angry, that upset me, then I will be able to get control. But when you began to attempt to contain an element, when you attempt to restrict it, it's almost as though the energetic desire to compress the nature of the element can cause it to amplify, magnify, intensify. Holding a magnifying glass over dry tinder so that the sun shines through the magnifier, and soon the dry tinder begins to smoke and smolder, and then you have a fire. And it may be very small, at least in the beginning. But the longer it smolders, especially if anger and rage and even hatred are added to the energy, the more it grows. So the individual that set out to escape the things that were making them hot, causing them to feel agitated to the point that perhaps internally they felt as though they might combust. And throughout the years of recorded history, And even in some ancient texts, there have been places where it has been mentioned that people actually combusted and burned from the inside out. And so, with any of the elements, it isn't about trying to control them as much as it is to discipline your personal focus. Not just what I think, but much more. How does this thought, this vision, this concept, how does it feel in the sacred space? To feel the cool fire of the violet flame that transmutes energy and in many ways acts as a reflective that shines the essence of love to the one that is inside of the fire. So you can send the violet flame to others without fear of damage or the essence of control. For the violet flame simply reflects to the entity. Even if you put yourself in a room of mirrors of violet flame, what it reflects to you is the essence of love. And it is what you do, how you utilize, how you choose to experience. The flame, the violet flame, is really all about what you're doing with love. So that is a cool fire, a transmuting fire. How are you focused on the energy? The mind may say, I'm going to put someone in the violet flame. And the ego jokes about setting them on fire or putting them in a prison. But the violet flame is unconditional. It doesn't force anyone to comply to certain wishes. There is divine law around unconditional love, and the violet flame operates within those laws, but they are not something that forces anyone to be a certain way. It simply puts you in the essence of love. How does it feel? How do you feel? How do you respond? Are you afraid of the love? Do you want to fight it? Do you want to fight the fire of the violet flame with the fire of anger or frustration? And many people are in this time fighting the fire of love with the rage of fear, because the illusion has said for so long that love is dangerous. It is a weakening factor. And yet, when you look at what fire can create, the beauty, warmth, that feeling of simply cuddling up before a warm fire with a good book or a cup of tea, with good company to share the fire. Or if it becomes conflict, then yes, the fire can be the destructive element of the wildfires that are burning out of control all over the United States and in many places around the world. The element is exactly how you name it. The Master Book says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, creative force. And the Word was with God. And God said, 'Let there be.'" So with the elements, as you focus your intentions to be very clear, what is the thought, the emotion that is directing the focus? You may want, for example, to light a candle. And so you think, visualize a lighted candle. Perhaps even considering how that candle flame influences your feelings. And yet your mind may be whispering in the background, "Who do you think you are? What makes you believe or think that you could possibly light a candle with your mind?" And that begins to divide the energy. And it begins to diminish the potential. And it sets up, as the illusion has for so many lifetimes, a doubt about your capability as a magician. So many in these times are simply beginning to discover magic because it's time, and to get beyond the emotions, the fear, the doubt, the judgments. Who am I to use the elements? Who am I to light a fire with my mind? And the conflict that the ego sets up can actually begin to touch into the memories of loneliness because of the magic, the anger of rejection, of not belonging, the fear and hatred of those who are different. And so, dearly beloved masters, to focus the energy in love requires time with yourself, quietly, not thinking, trying to figure out how to control the element, but feeling love building within you, that love that is in the fire of the heart seed, unconditional love, that is filled with the joy of oneness, of unity, of interdependence with nature, with the elements. And the love, which is heartwarming, becomes the conduit that takes the energy of your image of the lighted candle, and as you point your finger at the candle, trusting your energy, and nothing happens. And you may actually feel an energetic shift in your center of disappointment, or perhaps even reassurance. See, I was right. I knew I couldn't do that. And that is a contributing factor to the appearance, beloved masters, of failure when you are attempting to utilize the elements. The ego mind wants immediate satisfaction and becomes very distressed, depressed, and ready to doubt altogether when you don't accomplish lighting a candle with your finger the first time. Now, I would doubt very seriously that the majority of humanity got on a bicycle the very first time and rode without running into something or falling over. because balance is an important element of focus. So whether you're balancing on two wheels or whether you are balancing the alignment of your energy, the Master Book says, when the eye is single, when the energy of the Kundalini fire, another sacred fire that burns at the base of the spine, at the root chakra, and as that sacred fire, which is equated with dragon energy, the Kundalini, as that sacred fire moves through the chakras from the root to the crown, there is a progressively more powerful sense of focus and balance. The higher the sacred serpent rises until it crowns and the fire returns to the root. So, beloved masters, to develop the attention span, the patience, the focus that allows you, and it's like building a muscle, which is why the majority of people are not able to do it the first time. Occasionally, someone will. They may be so close to the breakthrough of remembering when lighting a candle with their finger was easy, natural, as comfortable as their breath. But if you're going to light a candle with your finger, just to point at the candle and see the flame appear, it requires faith, trust, and the acceptance of your capability to accomplish. Not, if I point my finger at the wick of the candle and it lights, then I've proven I can. But the feeling in the area of the solar plexus of absolute trust that this is an element of nature. And you may feel a deep-seated, old, not ancient, but old, resistance. Because the illusion has taught for so very long that what humanity has called magic is a deviant energy. It's negative, it's dark, it's demonic, because those who wanted to be in positions of power and control actually held a great fear about those people who had come to a place where the mastery of the elements was as natural as their life force. And the truth is, beloved masters, the capability to have dominion over the elements was granted to every soul from the very beginning. But so was free will. So from the very beginning, with all souls created equal, each one having the same potential to have dominion over the elements, but each one having the free will of personal choice. And some from the very beginning could not accept that they had the power to hold dominion, not dominance or control, but dominion with the elements. That it's natural. And some immediately took to the idea of having dominion over the elements because they believed that if they could have dominion over the elements, then they could have dominance over nature, and then they could have power over other souls. There was a time before physicality became more dense when all understood this gracious gift, this blessing of what the world has called magic for a long time. But it is now, beloved masters, as it returns, it is in each one to still remember, rediscover, reveal revelation, that amazing potential within self to call the elements, and in a loving and interdependent relationship, that the elements will serve humanity. Nature will serve humanity.